welcome to the video. We are going to be making soap today, and the method that we're going to be using is the melt and pour method. So we're not going to be using the lye water method, which was intended to be used, but we can't just have those chemicals around, and we can't use those chemicals unattended without proper supervision. And we're at home, we can't go to the chemistry lab and everything, so this is the safest method to do while having good results.
Before we get into this video, let's go through some warnings and disclaimers. First of all, I am merely a high school chemistry student. That means you should not fully rely on me if you choose to make soap at home. There are a lot more people with a lot more experience than me with videos and tutorials out there. Be careful with hot items, be careful with sharp items. A lot of the apparatus used can be used as cooking items, so if you can't buy a new set of apparatus, make sure to clean thoroughly before and after using them. Make sure all the materials you're using for the soap are skin safe. All the measurements and details will be in the description below. That's all, enjoy the video. So starting off with the materials you will need, any soap base, I got this one off Shopee. Coconut oil, if you can find the solid one it would be better, but since I couldn't find any, I had to settle with the liquid coconut oil. And if you're going for the liquid one, you want the one with the fats and the solids at the bottom because it will help with the process. You need cooking oil, I just used the sunflower one. Olive oil, try not to get the extra virgin one because again you need a higher fat content, but I already had this at home. Coloring, can use any skin safe coloring, I use black food coloring. Scent, I use lavender essential oil, you can use any essential oil that you like. For your apparatus, you will need a weighing scale, preferably a digital one for accuracy. Molds to pour your soap in, make sure they are made of a material that can withstand heat like silicone or good plastic. A mixing or a heating bowl, and a pot since we are using the double boiling method instead of the microwaving one. A hand blender. I do not recommend using a whisk to mix your soap and oils, and I will explain why later on in the video. A spoon, preferably a wooden one, but I didn't have one on me, so I used a plastic one. A measuring cup, this is a 1 liter measuring cup. And lastly, a knife and cutting board, which I forgot to film. Okay, with said cutting board and knife, cut 250 grams of your chosen soap base.
Ooh! Oh wow! Dude, look at that!
Then, cut it into smaller pieces and place it into your mixing/heating bowl. This will help the soap melt easier and faster. Set that aside and fill about half your pot up with water. Turn on your stove to a medium fire. And while waiting for the water to boil, take your measuring cup and start measuring out your oils. You'll need approximately 80 ml of cooking oil, 150 ml of olive oil, and 150 ml of coconut oil. Once the water has come to a boil, place your bowl with your soap pieces on top of the pot. Stirring occasionally, your soap base needs to be completely melted with no solids left, as it should look a little something like this. Now turn off your stove and remove the bowl off the pot because now we're going to start adding our oils and our colorings. For this part, you want to move as quick as you can because you don't want the soap to start cooling down and hardening. Once you have added all your liquids, it's time to blend your mixture on low speed. I wasn't satisfied with the color, so you can see the soap mixture becoming darker because I added a bit more food coloring. As you can see, the mixture becomes thicker and jelly-like. Please don't eat this, but this is the consistency that you want after blending it smoothly. Next, pour your soap mixture into your molds. I'm going to cut mine into bars, so I'm just making one big block first. I tap the bottom of the mold to make sure there aren't any air bubbles in the mixture. I wanted my soap bars to have a massaging effect, so right after I poured the mixture, I gently pressed down a layer of plastic bubble wrap onto the soap and I let it sit for 50 minutes. After 15 minutes have passed, I took off the bubble wrap and let the rest of the mixture to set. This is how it turned out. I also think this is a good time to say to make sure not have any pets around or young children around this area.
Meow meow no!
I had some leftover soap mixture, so I decided to reheat the mixture and add some rose syrup for coloring and scent. Then I poured it into my smaller silicone molds. This was not a good idea because it looks diseased to say the least.
Hi! I just finished cleaning up, and this is the almost finished final product. It hasn't been dried fully yet, so we're gonna wait for these little buddies to cool down and to dry in like a few hours. I'm gonna come back and we're gonna see how it turns out. Yeah, so see you then. Hi, it's been a few hours since we put the soap into the molds, and now they're dried, so it's time to unmold them and make them look nicer.
Right, starting with the first batch, I unmolded the soap off and I trimmed the edges as well as the top of the soap block just to give it a cleaner look. Then I cut my block into 4 equally sized bars. For the second batch, however, as I unmolded it, I already knew something was wrong. It was really oily, so I tried to dab some of the oil off with a paper towel. It didn't work. And I gave it a little squeeze test to make sure it wouldn't crumble, but it just disintegrated in between my fingers. I immediately knew that this was the cause of not blending my soap and oils well enough. When I reheated the mixture, the oils and the soap base separated and I underestimated how much blending should have been done. So this is why I don't recommend the whisk, because you wouldn't be able to blend it smoothly. This is an optional step, but I found some wax paper and string that I could use to wrap and decorate the soap bars with.
Right, so I finished wrapping them, kind of, it doesn't matter if it doesn't look good. The thing is, as long as it works, which reminds me, we need to try testing this.
Alright, now for the moment of truth. Honestly, I think I did pretty good with this soap because it smells good, I feel clean, the colouring didn't stain my hands, and the massage side really massages. The only critique that I have to mention is that it does take a little bit longer than regular soaps to lather out. But it still does quite lather a lot when you do, so that's how you know it works.
So I washed my hands with the soap, and yeah, I think this soap was a success. Yep, that's all. That's it. Soap. Make soap, get clean, be safe. Woohoo!